Episode 6, Part 2, Create the Toy Shape. You're going to need to grab your sketch that you want to create your wheeled toy or to convert into a wheeled toy. So I'm going to choose to attempt to draw this duck or something similar to this duck as my actual wheeled toy solid shape. You need to come back to the On Shape main page and we're going to right click on our toy part 1 and we're going to choose copy workspace, and we're going to copy that to be part 2. There are other ways of doing version control, but this is the simplest I can do without having to explain too much. So basically we now have a second document called part 2, so we don't wreck our first document. And we're going to get straight into this. Remember, I'm drawing my duck. I know what my duck looks like. So I need to draw a sketch. The sketch that I'm going to draw is going to be called, if I double click out of that, I can double click back on it, and my sketch is going to be called, I'll call it my duck main. I'm going to draw it on the surface of this particular wheel here. So you can see how my wheel has a yellow outline. I'm going to click on that, and then I'm going to go right onto there, and I'm going to zoom up about here. And the first thing I need to do is I need to draw a bounding box. The bounding box is going to represent the outside of the standard grid. So I'm going to tick on my rectangle tool here, and I'm going to also tick on the construction tool. So the two should be both highlighted. I'm going to draw out a rectangle that's going to go around both of those boxes there, like so. The first thing I'm now going to do is I'm going to click on the tangent button out of this menu here. I'm going to click on a circle, and then I'm going to click on this line here, and it's going to lock the bottom of the grid to those circles. I'm now going to press the dimension tool, which is this one here, and I'm going to set this height to be 50 millimeters, pressing enter. And I'm going to set this height, or this length here, to be 75 and press enter. And I'm now going to put my grid on the middle by clicking on this line here and this little button, little point in the middle, and making that half of 75, which everybody knows is 37.5. And that is my grid. And if I look at my grid on my actual sketch, I should be able to maintain my proportions nicely. The next step is to draw a line somewhere around about here that's flat. A flat line that goes from one side of the wheel to the other. You might want to go a bit closer, you might want to go a bit further apart, but either way that's working. Now you can see that it's trying to draw the next line. I don't want to click, I want to press the escape button on my keyboard. So if I press the escape button on my keyboard, it's now finished drawing that line. I now need to use the dimension tool, and this is the last time you'll need to use the dimension tool, between this line here and the baseline of my bounding box, and I'm going to set that to 2. So 2 millimeters is the amount of space above the road that the base of my vehicle or toy will sit. Now it's up to you as to how you're going to draw the outline. You can use any number of tools to do this. I'm going to use the spline tool because it suits my duck. I'm going to start at the front here. I'm going to work my way across to about here, and I'm going to draw roughly the shape of the duck in here. I'm not going to see how it's going yellow there. I don't really want to click on that, so I'm going to click just on the other side of that. I'm going to click around here and come back in here, and then bring the duck's mouth. The duck's mouth I would normally do with straight lines. Now you don't want to draw things that go around in circles with this. So the lines don't want to cross with this tool. If you cross the lines with this tool, you're going to have errors. So here we go. There's the tail of the duck. And I'm just going to click around. I'll put one more tail on. And then come back into that one there. Now that I'm there, it still wants to draw more lines. I'm going to press the escape key. For some strange reason, the escape key takes me out of full screen at that point. And you can see now that my duck is now shaded in grey, which means it's a closed shape, and I can make it 3D. So let's do that. I'm going to tick on my duck main here. I'm going to view it from the side view here. I might zoom in just a bit. And now I'm going to press on the extrude button. I'm going to click on my duck. I'm going to click on, you see how this circle is missing? I don't want that circle missing. So I'm going to click on that circle as well. I want my duck to go the other way. So I'm going to press this arrow here. And there is my duck all ready to go. I'm going to press the tick on. Actually, let's rename that extrude. We'll call that the duck extrude. And I'm going to press tick. And you can see now I have my duck going. I've got my wheels down there working for me. It's working okay at the moment. Obviously, it's not going to 3D print yet because we've got a number of steps to go. But that is the creation of the standard shape, or the main shape of my duck. It's now time to update your process journal. So you're going to need to pull out that piece of paper, and in the created main toy shape, you're going to have to write some notes about how that went, any improvements you think you could have made but you couldn't because you couldn't figure out how to do it, that sort of thing. And then you put the date you completed it, and then you're ready to go on to the next bit.